watching this all day long. He's watching this and doing nothing. Now, he will say, as he has said in the past, his second tweet was a little tougher than the first tweet. He has authorized the National Guard to go and help. Those are steps that may help a bit, but the challenge of leadership is to stand up to your people when they're doing something that is wrong and tell them they need to back down. And it begins with the president, but it's not just him. The people in that building who keep saying, let's appoint a commission to look again into allegations of election fraud that have been brought to more than 60 court cases across the country and rejected out of hand. One of the tests of leadership is to look the people who support you in the eye and say, we are wrong, or it is over, and we are done. So it's not just the president, it's those supporting him in that building too. And it'll be fascinating for me to see, A, will the president wake up here and say something publicly with a camera pointed at him? And then B, what will his supporters in that Capitol, when they resume the debate about certifying Joe Biden's election as president, will some of these Republicans realize what they're doing is not only a fantasy, but it's a dangerous fantasy, and they need to back down?
Yeah, we're told that the entire D.C. National Guard, thousands of troops here in the nation's capital, the entire National Guard has been activated by the U.S. Department of Defense following this mob that has attacked the U.S. Capitol. Phil Mattingly is up on Capitol Hill right now. You're getting more very disturbing information. What are you learning?
Yeah, Wolf, I was talking with a couple sources aligned with the Capitol Police who were trying to kind of walk me through what's occurred over the course of the last hour and a half. And in the words of one, they were, quote, simply overwhelmed. They did not expect that the outline barriers, the ones that are about 100 yards away from the Capitol building, would be breached. Once those were breached, they were stunned that the protesters, in the words of this individual, that the protesters actually walked up the steps on both the House side, on the Senate side, and the center steps, and then were willing to break through the windows. Now, what's been going on inside the Capitol is a couple of things. The first priority for the Capitol Police and for law enforcement inside was to secure leadership, make sure they are in a safe place. I am told they are in a safe place, the leadership as well as the Senate Pro Tem, Chuck Grassley. I'm also told that based on everything that I've been talking to up to this point, all lawmakers are safe as well. They are in an undisclosed location. We are going to keep it that way for the time being. Now, the process is what's been, I think, most unusual as the Capitol Police have tried to get their arms around this, is how to actually get the protesters out of the Capitol building right now. They have been moving kind of starting with the floors, the House floor and the Senate floor, and trying to push the protesters into a single place. I'm not going to call them protesters, push the rioters, the trespassers into a single place where they can then escort them out of the Capitol. Slowly but surely, I'm told, they are making progress. I heard Manu report earlier. They believe the Senate floor is clear. I believe they're on the path to that on the House side as well. They are making progress with that. And it appears, according to my sources, that once that is complete, they will start to move in terms of what's going on the outside of the building. But, Wolf, I will tell you right now, from my vantage point on the east side of the Capitol, you can still see the steps on the Senate side, on the House side, and the center steps. You guys have camera footage of it as well, are still packed with individuals, some of them still moving towards the doors right now. So as the words of one source of mine inside the Capitol, this is not under control yet, but we feel like we're starting to get our arms around it. Obviously, it's a very, very fluid situation, and the most interesting thing, or one of the more interesting things, Wolf, I'm mostly getting text messages from lawmakers asking me if I know what's going on. They've been moved into secure locations, and at this point, they're just looking for information because they are seeing less and know less than pretty much everybody else on the outside, Wolf.
Yeah, a lot of these, and I don't want to call them protesters anymore. I want to call them rioters or mobsters. They're going to be arrested. One thing about Capitol Hill, as we all know, there are closed-circuit cameras all over the place. They have video of these rioters, these mobsters. They will be arrested if they broke windows, if they stormed the floor of the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives. They will be going to jail, many of them, for what they are doing right now. They probably are too stupid to know that they're heading for jail at some point down the road. Brian Todd, you're up there on Capitol Hill. I want you to be safe, but tell us what you're seeing.
Right, Wolf, I'll set the scene for you as we walk a little bit toward the center steps of the Capitol here on the east side, where the crowd on the actual steps themselves has thinned out a little bit in the last few minutes. Not as many people packed on the steps there. We saw two groups of riot gear-clad police coming in about 20 minutes ago. Probably not more than about 30 of them, and they did not come in with any sense of urgency, but they did come into the plaza, and they moved kind of toward the south that way a little bit. again, but not with any sense of urgency. You've also seen Capitol Hill police up there on the balcony to the left side. Now we don't see them. Now you see more protesters up there on the balcony on the left side. There were some Capitol Hill police up there a short time ago, but they have since pulled back. You do get the sense that whatever police have come so far have probably gone inside the building to try to address the situation there. They have not come in force to this plaza of the east side of the Capitol. We also know there have been confrontations with police and others on the west side. That situation has been very tense. Earlier today, we saw a lot of heard and saw a lot of flashbangs going off. So that got very intense, as some people, as we've reported on CNN, have gotten injured as well, and at least one woman shot in the chest, very seriously injured. We also know that a police officer has been injured and taken to the hospital. But let's have our photojournalist Eddie Gross go past me here, and I can kind of set the scene too. Look, this was the most densely packed set of stairs. This is the center steps of the Capitol on the east front. And as you can see, still a lot of protesters there, and they don't seem to be too worried. They may get pushed out of there soon. We don't know. We don't know when larger groups of police or National Guardsmen will show up here and what they're going to do when they do. But we can tell you that this crowd has thinned out a little bit. And Eddie, if you can just move to your right, to our right, you see some police over there on that side. That's the Senate side of the Capitol building. You see some police officers standing there. There were more people on that set of steps earlier too, and going almost up, toward the top. But they've kind of contained that group over there. There was another set of protesters here on the House side steps. And Eddie, let's go forward here a little bit.
All right, hold on a minute, Brian. The president-elect is about to speak.
It's an inconvenience, but I'm sorry for the reason I've delayed coming out to speak to you. I initially was going to talk about the economy, but all of you have been watching what I've been watching. At this hour, our democracy is under an unprecedented assault, unlike anything we've seen in modern times. An assault on the citadel of liberty, the Capitol itself. An assault on the people's representatives and the Capitol Hill police, sworn to protect them, and the public servants who work at the heart of our republic. An assault on the rule of law like few times we've ever seen it. An assault on the most sacred of American undertakings, the doing of the people's business. Let me be very clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true America, do not represent who we are. What we're seeing are a small number of extremists dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent. It's disorder. It's chaos. It borders on sedition. And it must end now. I call on this mob to pull back and allow the work of democracy to go forward. You've heard me say before in different contexts, the words of a president matter, no matter how good or bad that president is. At their best, the words of a president can inspire. At their worst, they can incite. Therefore, I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege, to storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection. The world's watching. Like so many other Americans, I am genuinely shocked and saddened that our nation so long the beacon of light and hope for democracy, has come to such a dark moment. Through war and strife, America's endured much. And we will endure here, and we will prevail again, and we'll prevail now. The work of the moment and the work of the next 4 years must be the restoration of democracy, of decency, honor, respect, the rule of law, just plain, simple decency. The renewal of the politics. It's about solving problems, looking out for one another, not stoking the flames of hate and chaos. As I said, America is about honor, decency, respect, tolerance. That's who we are. That's who we've always been. The certification of the Electoral College vote is supposed to be a sacred ritual to affirm. The purpose is to affirm the majesty of American democracy. But today's reminder, a painful one, that democracy is fragile, and to preserve it requires people of goodwill, leaders with the courage to stand up, who are devoted not to the pursuit of power, or the personal interest pursuits of their own selfish interest at any cost, but of the common good. Think what our children watching television are thinking. Think what the rest of the world is looking at. For nearly 2.5 centuries, we, the people, in search of a more perfect union, have kept our eyes on that common good. America is so much better than what we've seen today. Watching the scenes from the Capitol, I was reminded, as I prepared other speeches in the past, I was reminded of the words of Abraham Lincoln in his annual message to Congress, whose work has today been interrupted by chaos. Here's what Lincoln said. He said, "We shall nobly save or merely lose the last best hope on earth." Went on to say, "The way is plain, peaceful, generous, just. A way which, if followed, the world will forever applaud and God must forever bless." The way is plain here, too. That's who we are. It's the way of democracy, of respect, of decency, of honor, and commitment as patriots to this nation. Notwithstanding what I saw today and we're seeing today, I remain optimistic about the incredible opportunities. There has never been anything we can't do when we do it together. And this god-awful display today is bringing home to every Republican and Democrat and Independent in the nation that we must step up. This is the United States of America. There's never, ever, 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 ever been a thing we've tried to do that we've done it together. We've not been able to do it. So, President Trump, step up. May God bless America. May God protect our troops and all those folks at the Capitol who are trying to preserve order. Thank you, and I'm sorry to have kept you waiting.